What's going on, guys? So I am out here preloading the RV with some stuff because we're about to take off. I have my bike, I have my wife's bike, and I have my 5-year-old's bike. All of this stuff is going to conveniently find its way into this pull-out cart. So we're gonna load that in here, see how it fits. Hang tight, I'll be right back. Okay, so I have my bike loaded in flat all the way at the back of the cart. You could call it the front of the cart, I guess. Next is going to be my wife's bike. It's going to go right here. And then finally, my daughter's bike is going to kind of rest in this area right here, hopefully. Let's see how this works. So far, so good. I used the tailgate cover as a pad between the two. Just have to load my daughter's bike in now. All right, so I know this isn't the most organized way to load bikes, but I did get 3 bikes in here. Granted, one of them is a really small bike. That being said, I probably could have mounted some, through axle mounts up front and taken the front wheel off, but this isn't my RV, so I'm not going to drill holes in that. That's being respectful of the company that is letting me review this. Anyways, we got all 3 in. Let's see if we're able to close everything up. Oh yeah. Now I'm just going to strap it down a little bit. I'll probably just put a strap across the center here to the other side. Maybe one right here, just so if I hit a big enough bump, they don't go flying up in the air and crashing down. Okay, so I am relatively confident one strap should be fine. It's pretty tight and everything's kind of squeezed down together. I don't anticipate opening this up to a bunch of damaged bikes whenever we get to where we're going. At least I hope not. But we are going to continue moving some stuff from the Ram, which will be towing this, to the 5th wheel. Now, the only thing I would advise of these storage trays is that they put little loops right here so you can connect this. You have these little ones on the side, but if you try to loop this through there, it'll go through, but you won't be able to slide the tray in. So putting little loops on the top of the tray would come in really handy if you're trying to secure things with straps or with bungee cords. Right now it's just all very smooth rails, and you have to, like I said, get inside of there to hook it after the bike's inside, and it's just not the best ratcheting situation if you're going to be doing that. But everything fit really well. Just got to unload a few more things into the trailer and we'll hit the road. We got our friend over there, Chris. You might remember him. He's the owner of Iconic Sign Group here in Corpus, with our old Chaparral, which is only 4 spots down, so I get to drive by it every time I come out to this beautiful Vanleigh beacon. 42 RDB. Anyways, we're gonna hitch up, but before I do that, I'm gonna unload some stuff into the 5th wheel storage. I'll tell you what, having this outside storage is fantastic. Okay. Okay, so we are almost backed up to the hitch, about to hitch up and take off. We're gonna head up to San Antonio again, but a different RV park this time. I told you in a previous video that we have our daughter now living in San Antonio, and she just moved in, and she's in the northwest area of San Antonio near La Cantera, if you're familiar with that. And we are actually gonna be staying at a KOA on the exact opposite side of town, so basically the southeast side of town. It's actually one of the highest rated parks in San Antonio. Has a lot of cool stuff around it. It has a really cool formerly abandoned mansion called the Red Berry Estate. Huge mansion. Look it up on Wikipedia. It's pretty cool. Anyways, we're going to continue hooking up and then we're going to hit the road. Okay, so we are backed up and coupled. You'll see from back here, the jaws are completely encompassing the kingpin. I'm going to go ahead and plug the power in. This is generally something you want to kind of develop as a routine, so you know specifically what order you need to do everything in. The reason why I say that is, if you don't do this as a routine, you might get out of order. And if you get out of order, you might find yourself in this awkward situation to where you're doing something a way you might not normally do it, and you miss a step. And that's something you definitely don't want to do. You don't want to miss a step whenever you are hitching up a 5th wheel. Yes, I know I have 2 clips here, but I brought an extra one just in case I came out here and that one was missing. And then I'm gonna have plenty of slack for this to be able to turn as far as I'm ever gonna turn it. Looking at the rest of the setup, everything looks to be in pretty good shape. So next step is to pin this in place and make sure that the jaws don't open when I'm driving. All right, so jaws are closed, that is pushed in. If this was pulled out and forward, then it would be unlatched, but because it's pushed in, I know it is in place. I'm gonna slip that over, pin that in place. So now I know the jaws are locked and there's no way for this to decouple from the truck. Now I'm gonna do a quick tug test just to verify it, but the first thing I wanna do is come back to the trailer and I am going to raise the landing gear a hair. All right, so landing gear is off the ground just a hair, and that's where I want it to be. And now I'm gonna get up front and do just a really quick tug test. And all that's gonna do is verify that the hitch is locked in place. And the only reason I'm doing it on this hitch is because I'm unfamiliar with the hitch. I've only used these maybe 5 times now, and I wanna make sure I'm as confident as possible with the entire setup. So, to do a tug test, you simply go inside of your truck. I'm gonna change it to 5th wheel. Okay, now I'm gonna put it in drive. I'm gonna hold the trailer brake down and I'm gonna let off of the brake. So I'm in good shape. That means I am hitched up and ready to tow. Now I can come back here. Everything is locked in place and secured still. I can go ahead and retract all my landing gear. You can see, because it's hydraulic, one landing gear goes up at a time, and this is basically due to the valving, how the actual hydraulic fluid is valved through the system, and it basically pulls it up as pressure is applied to each specific leg. But there we go, we are completely hitched up. Next thing I'm gonna do is turn on my flasher so I can quickly do a walk around and make sure all my lights work. So from the inside of the truck, I'm gonna go ahead and turn the lights on, and then I'm gonna hit my emergency flashers up here. And then you can see that light's on. My side light here is on. Then as I come around to the back, this light is on. Back lights, both are flashing. My top clearance lights are on. I am in good shape and ready to roll. I don't have any tire chocks in place. It's another big one you want to remember. Everything here is in place, ready to go. We're gonna hit the road and let you see what this thing looks like from a side perspective once we get it out on open flat land. Okay, so here it is, all connected. This is one long 5th wheel. All my lights are working, already tested. I got my friend Chris over there. He's about to hitch up to the Goose Box with his F350 single rear wheel truck. He's at about 41 feet, 41 feet. I'm at about 44 feet in terms of the 5th wheel. Let's take a look down this side real quick. You can just see how massive this 5th wheel is. Huge, huge setup. And if you guys are asking that question about 3rd axles again because you haven't seen my other videos, go back and watch the video that's labeled "Does it need a 3rd axle?" because that explains why this unit only has 2 axles and only needs 2 axles. This is a really, really cool setup. But we're gonna wait for my friend to hitch up. He's gonna pull behind us and then we'll be hitting the road. Okay, so here we are. We've got the Vanleigh beacon behind the Ram 3500 HD Cummins Aisin transmission, 410 gear ratio. It is a beautiful, beautiful truck. Air suspension. Coming over here, we got Chris with his beautiful silver F350 Lariat, long bed, hauling the Chaparral 360 IBL. This is our old fifth wheel for all of you who are new to the channel. It's a good friend of mine who bought it. Everything good?
Yeah, looking for my air compressor to fill up the air in there.
I have an air compressor.
I have one too. That's the one we're taking.
I know where mine is. Need to use it real quick?
Yours handy? Yours is quicker? Yeah.
Mine's battery powered.
Oh yeah, let's do that.
All right, so we are on the road towing this. It's roughly 17,000 pounds as it sits, but it has an 18,500 pound GVWR Vanleigh Beacon fifth wheel. They're a division of Tiffin. If you know Tiffin motorhomes, then you probably are pretty familiar with them. But this is a pretty large and tall fifth wheel, and it sits on a wide body chassis, so it's actually definitely wide as well. And this truck, just like pretty much all the other modern diesels, doesn't have any problem towing this fifth wheel. I've been able to tow this fifth wheel with my F450, which is a 2017 model, and now this 2020 Ram 3500 with the high output Cummins engine, the Aisin transmission. This thing has 1,000 pound-feet of torque and 400 horsepower. And to be honest with you, they all feel relatively the same. I mean, if I were to hop out of one truck and hop right into another, it would probably be, you know, a difference that I could probably mention. But for most of you who are going to get any one of these trucks, they feel very similar because they're all, you know, over 900 pound-feet of torque. They're all in that 400 horsepower range. And quite frankly, they're all designed to easily handle fifth wheels and goosenecks that are significantly heavier than what I'm currently towing. And they do it without a problem. I know a lot of people feel when you go to an RV this large that you should automatically get a medium duty or a heavy duty truck. But in my opinion, I don't think that's really needed, because when you couple these newer trucks with their modern braking systems, they do a really good job if you have it dialed in properly with your trailer brakes. Right now, I have the gain on the brakes of the Vanleigh at 8.5, which seems high, but when I did my 5-mile-an-hour stopping test, it was the appropriate number. However, when you hit the brake, the whole rig stops. It doesn't feel like it has that much trouble stopping. It is towing smooth, and it has definitely tamed down the rear suspension on this truck. It feels significantly smoother, significantly more comfortable, which is what you can expect anytime you put roughly 3,500 pounds over the back of a dually pickup truck, because that's what it's designed for. It's designed for that payload capacity. And this truck's door sticker has a payload capacity just north of 5,070 pounds. So it absolutely has the means to haul a trailer of this size without a problem. Maximum tow capacity on this truck, I believe, is like 32 or 33,000 pounds. And that's going to be gooseneck. A fifth wheel is going to be 30,000 pounds, and that's going to be limited by the capacity of your hitch, which in the case of this Mopar M30 hitch, which is actually a Curt 30,000 pound rated fifth wheel hitch for the puck system, it plugs right in, works real well, and I believe it's the highest rated fifth wheel hitch you can actually get on any of these light duty pickup trucks. Light duty pickup truck simply meaning a truck with a gross vehicle weight rating of 14,000 pounds or less. That would be my F450, that would be this Ram 3500 dually, and that would also be a Chevy or a GMC dually pickup truck. So we're going to be on the road for a few more hours, and we'll catch up with you in a little bit. All right, so I know a question everybody's going to want to know is, how do I think the diesel engine exhaust brake on this truck compares to both the Chevy and my Ford? Now, I can't talk about the newest Ford with the new 6.7 liter Power Stroke for 2020 because I don't have one. It's been a while since I've driven one. It's been almost a year, I think. But that truck stopped the heavy loads coming down through Arizona very, very easily and very well. This truck is slowing down this fifth wheel very, very well, and the Chevy did the same thing. You know, in all reality, just like I tell you guys in other videos, you really can't go wrong with any of these trucks. They all accomplish the job with relative ease. They have the ability to accelerate and tow these fifth wheels pretty well, as well as slow them down pretty well, even if you're relying on the engine exhaust brake. Because they've tuned these, especially with the enhancements in transmission technology, both General Motors and Ford moving to a 10-speed transmission and Ram with its 6-speed Dyson transmission, which is absolutely a medium-duty commercial spec transmission. But they've made these trucks be able to pick the right gear very appropriately to best utilize the engine exhaust brake. And because of that, if you're coming off the mountains, if you're coming down a slope, or if you're coming down a pretty steep grade, you really don't have to ride the brake very often. You might have to hit it a couple times, but once you tap it that first time, the brake really kicks in and does an effective job holding speed. Now, we've gone up a couple grades here and we've come down a couple grades, and I can tell you the brake kicks in flawlessly and it works really well. Alright, so it's getting a little dark on us, and we are only about 15 miles away from our destination. The challenge is, I just got a low fuel warning, and when we left, we had 3/4 of a tank, and now we have less than 1/4 of a tank. So I'm going to have to look up exactly what size of fuel tank this truck has. I believe it's maybe a 36-gallon tank, but if I had to say, one of the things I would definitely add to this truck very quickly, or a suggestion I would even make to Ram, is an upgraded fuel tank. Something a little larger to get you a few more miles when you're traveling. But yeah, we have a low fuel warning, 47 miles till empty, but we only have 15 miles till we get to where we're going, so we're almost there. So real quick update, we are getting about 9.7 miles to a gallon, so it's actually very similar to what my F450 gets, a little bit better. We're running a little low on fuel. We have 41 miles till empty, and I'm sure we have a bit of reserve past that, but we're almost to our destination. We're only 7 miles away, so once we get there and we unhitch everything, we're going to go top off the truck so we can continue to travel on this journey. Anyways, we'll see you when we get to the park. Okay, so we are here at the KOA in their staging area. They're going to come out here in a second and give us our spot. 32 miles till empty. Let's look at the fuel economy on this thing. 9.6 miles per gallon. When we fill up, I'm going to be really interested in seeing how much fuel this thing can hold. So we are here on our spot. It is definitely a bit dark. Here's the Vanleigh. This is a huge spot. It's like almost 100 feet long. Plenty of room. Unfortunately, like I said, it is a bit dark outside. I always kind of hate pulling into RV parks that have a lot of trees that are really dark. There are a few trees that are really close to the curve way back there. But we're here. We're going to get set up, unhitched from the truck. I'm going to try to find a gas station. Drop it down a little bit. There we go. Let's pull the truck up. Alright, so we had 15 miles till empty. Let's see where this fills us up to. Of course, there's going to be a little bit of extra in reserve. So I'm imagining maybe 5 gallons. But once we fill this up, I have a feeling we have a 30-gallon fuel tank. Yeah, I'm guessing probably a 31-gallon tank. Maybe a 33 if the reserve tank's bigger than I'm thinking. Certainly not much fuel left, though. Yeah, this thing needs a fuel tank about 45-50 gallons, I think, as its factory one.